So, Dan over at Hog Wild Barbecue stopped by my channel, saw one of my recipes, said he wanted to do his take on that, and I said, you know what? I'm going to run over to your channel, take a look at one of your recipes, and I'm going to do my rendition of that. So he had a chili recipe on his channel that's nothing like what this is going to be, but the inspiration I got out of it was to use some Chipotle peppers and adobo sauce in the chili. Now this is something that I use quite a bit. I just never thought to use it in chili, so we're going to rock it out on this one. Now, if you haven't stopped by and seen Dan at Hog Wild Barbecue, listen, he's a very new YouTube channel. Always be nice to send some people his way. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the iCard above and description below, as well as the recipe that he's doing his take on from my channel. So in the description below is going to be 2 links, one to his channel, one to the recipe. Run over there, tell him loud, No Hippie said what's up. Now, the chili I'm going to make is kind of a Mexican inspired chili. Not a whole lot of ingredients, but we are going to get a little in depth on it, so let's take a look at our ingredients. First of all, I have a little bit over 3 pounds of ribeye steak, and this is partially frozen, and we're going to kind of slice this up, cube it up. We have some Poblano peppers, and I have that kind of roasted. I'm going to leave the skins on that. It's going to have a chance to break down during the cook. Some Mexican oregano, some onions. Listen, if you're making chili and you ain't rocking with that dark chocolate, you're missing out. So we got some of that, some jalapenos, garlic. I like a little kind of sweetness to my chili, so we're going to be hitting it with a little bit of this Splenda for all you people out there trying to limit your carbs a little bit. Some Splenda brown sugar. Some Better Than Bouillon, beef bouillon. The best herb out there. Listen, cilantro, we're going to be hitting it up with some of that. Adding a little depth of flavor with some cinnamon sticks. We got some cumin and a little Modelo. We're also going to be adding a little salt down the road as well. First thing I'm going to do is add our ribeye to a cast iron skillet or a pot if you don't have a cast iron skillet. And we're going to hit it with a little bit of salt. And we're going to cook this until it's about 3/4 of the way done. We're going to remove it and set it aside. So this meat has been cooked and is still a little pink. We're going to remove it now. And now that we have the meat out, we're going to add our onions and our jalapenos. We're going to cook this down until they become a little softened. So that's become softened. Now what we need to do is blend up these peppers. So I'm going to start off with 1 can of this Chipotle and adobo sauce. And I'm going to just take the stem out of these peppers that I had roasted. I'm leaving the seeds and everything in there. And I have our garlic. That's about 9 cloves of garlic. I will have the entire recipe and estimated amounts that I am using in the description below. Let's blend this up. So now that this is blended up, I'm going to just start off with this for now. We're going to pour it in our pot. We're going to add our beer at this point, and I'm going to throw it in here just to get rid of all this goodness that might be left in there. It's good enough. I may not need that other can. Mexican oregano. And I'm eyeballing it. These cinnamon sticks. That's about 4. Cilantro. Some ground cumin. we'll get to this dark chocolate down the road. Let's stir it up, see what else we need. It is gonna need a little bit more of this beer. We're gonna go with the rest of the bottle. Now I'm going to bring this to a simmer. I'm just going to taste it, see kind of where we're at as far as flavor goes. Once I have that set kind of around where I want, we're going to go ahead and add that extra dark chocolate in. And then we're going to get it in the stove. Now the reason that I didn't took the meat out is, have you ever eaten like some kind of a pot roast or something where it almost seems like all the fat has been cooked out of it and it almost seems dry? That's why I removed that. So we're going to, once I'm done with this step and getting our chocolate in, it's going to go in the oven 375 for 2 hours. And then after the second hour, we're going to add the meat back to it and let it go for another hour. You know one thing I forgot? Forgot our Splenda brown sugar. I'm going to call that 1/4 of a cup. All right, turn my burner back on, get it simmering. So I brought this to a simmer. I just tasted it. Looks like we're good to go on flavor. I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon, or just under a teaspoon of that Better Than Bouillon beef bouillon. And our chocolate. We're gonna let that go for about another 5 minutes. Let that chocolate melt in. Then we're gonna take it over to the oven, 375 for 2 hours. This chili just came out of the oven after being in there for 2 hours. And one of the reasons I like doing it in the oven as opposed to just in a pot on the stove is that it heats more evenly. It's not just coming from the bottom. And you can tell, I mean, look at how rich this looks right here. So our last step, throw in our ribeye steak we cut up, mix it up. It's gonna go back in the oven for another hour, maybe hour and 20 minutes, and this should be a wrap. Here we are right out of the oven, and this is looking good. Now I prefer mine without any beans. If you wanted to have beans, you could add beans in here, but I just prefer to go meat on mine. We're gonna let this cool down. I'm gonna plate up, do a taste test, see what we think. So it is a wrap. Time for me and old Headgen Jr. over here to get in on this. Go ahead and taste it.
That's really good.
What are you tasting there?
A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of bitterness. It's got some great heat to it. And that pork is so tender, it's amazing.
Well, it's beef, but listen, that beef is that tender. Anyway, this is the first time I've actually made chili with those Chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. So I'd like to thank Hog Wild Barbecue for putting me up on that. Like I said, run by his channel, support him. He's a new channel out there. Links in the iCard above, description below. Anyway, this right here is a winner. Nice depth of flavor from that chocolate and all that stuff. Telling you. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and finish knocking this out. I'll check you guys out on the next video. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.
Yeah, this came out really great.